Jews have their place in France. We are French Jews, we are Jews. It's very important to mention that we could practice our Judaism freely and openly here in France and anywhere else in Europe in full security.
In the wake of terror killings in France, the world is once again drawn to an obvious attack on Jews. And those of the faith are either preparing to or have already departed France in fear for their lives. Is it time for Jews around the world to stop moving on, no matter where they live, and start fighting back? Let's welcome to Midpoint. He has been called America's rabbi and has also been called by the Jerusalem Post one of the most influential Jews in the world. Author of 29 best-selling books that have been translated into 20 languages. Always a pleasure to talk with Rabbi Shmuley Boteach joining us. Rabbi Shmuley, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I'm actually on a family vacation because the Jewish day schools have vacation now, not at Christmas, believe it or not. So glad to be with you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. We can hear in the background here. You've got an awful lot of people going on, so we appreciate you taking time out of a time with your family here, because this is an interesting thing that we need to discuss right now. And let us begin with the fact that on the New York Times front page recently, they talked about the fact that with what is happening in France, that Jews have no choice anymore, but they will have to go to Israel. Do you agree with that?
Wait, I'm just not hearing. Can you say that again, please?
Certainly I can. Yeah, there's a whole lot of noise in the background. We'll see if we can make it work for you. There was a recent article in the New York Times that talked about on the opinion pages the fact that with what is happening in France, with the attack on Jews in France recently, the terror attacks, that there's a possibility that they may have no choice but Israel. Now, the rabbi is going to see if he can quickly get back to us on another line, because as you can hear, there was a tremendous amount of back talk on the line there. He's with his family there. So there was a lot of noise in the background. We're going to try to get him on the line because this is something that we do need to discuss with him. So hang on with us a couple of minutes here. In the New York Times report, they talked about the fact that the irony of Israel's instinctive response to terror attack on Jews in Europe and the attack recently on that kosher grocery store in Paris was really no different. They're talking about pack your belongings, get away, escape. Israel urges the Jews of France to get away. Surrender, followed by the immigration to Israel. While to many people, surrender is simply not an option. This comes while there is also talk in the United Kingdom today, in a breaking story, that British Jews themselves, according to the chief rabbi, Lord Sachs, they are scared to go to the shops after Paris attacks. What happened actually in France, we consistently talk about it being an attack on cartoonists, the Charlie Hebdo comics, if you will, the people who were there, the attack on Mohammed. But in essence, when you look at this at the very core of what it is, this was also an attack on Jews in Europe, if you come down again to what happened actually in the deli. So a couple of minutes we have before we take a break. We have the rabbi back. All right, Rabbi Shmuley, let me get back to the original question here for you, and that's regarding this opinion pages article on the New York Times. And I just talked about it for a couple of minutes. It said that with what has happened in France, the Jews there have no choice but to go to Israel now. Do you agree with that?
You can see me, but I just cannot hear you.
Rabbi, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right, there we go. All right, it's all.
Now I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Wonderful. One more time so I can get your opinion on this. That France's Jews, after the attack, have no choice whatsoever but to flee and go to Israel after the attacks there. Do you agree with that? I
couldn't disagree more. Jews should not have to live in fear in any country in Europe or any country in the world. It's a disgrace to France that it's even to this. The French government has an absolute responsibility to protect their Jewish citizens. We all love Israel. It's the Jewish homeland. But Jews should choose to go to Israel as part of an ancient dream, as part of a Jewish destiny, not out of fear, not out of coercion, not because they think they're going to be slaughtered in the streets. To say that they have no choice but to go to Israel would render France a jungle. It would mean that France has lost every principle of its original revolution, which was equality, democracy, fraternity. For whom? Everyone but the Jew? These attacks on the French Jewish community have been going on for years. The French government has turned largely a blind eye to it. Now with 4 Jews murdered just for buying challah rolls Friday afternoon before the Sabbath, they can no longer turn a blind eye to it. and they're deploying something like 10,000 troops to protect the Jewish community. Now, here's the question.
All right, now I have to stop you there, Rabbi Shmuley. Hold on one second because we're up against the break here now. I'm going to ask you to hold on, please, so that we have a couple of minutes coming right back after the commercial. Rabbi Shmuley will return with us after the break, and let's dig into a world leader who cannot, for some reason, tell the truth with the words radical Islam and what that is part of the argument. And also let's get into this where we talk about the fact that we are now hearing a call for Jews and maybe even rabbis around the world to arm themselves and prepare for a conflict. That and more when we come back right here on Midpoint. Let's welcome back to Midpoint, America's rabbi and the founder of This World, the Values Network, dedicated to advancing universal Jewish values in the media and in culture. Rabbi Shmuley Boteach joins us again. All right, Rabbi, let's get down to this one issue here that we have heard about for the last few days. A call for, in many cases, many Jews and even in some cases some rabbis to arm themselves now simply because of what they consider the new war against Jews around the world. Is that a good idea? And I'm told that he just dropped off one more time. Okay, we're going to go ahead, give him a chance. Let's see if we can get the rabbi on the telephone if we can and see if we can grab him to make sure that the Skype does not freeze, if you will. So let's see what we can do. Are we going to get him back? I mean, I'm hearing perhaps that we may not get him back. All right, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and move on if we will here because let's at least bring people up to speed on a few things that are happening right now because this is all part of the discussion that we are having. There was an article recently that talked about the fact that, and you heard the rabbi talk about what happened at the supermarket in France where he discussed the fact that the French government themselves simply is not doing enough to protect the Jewish population in that area. It has been known for some time that there have been ideas, there have been thoughts, there have been plans, there have been plots, if you will, against Jews all around the world. And they are now very concerned about the fact that they are not getting the protection that they need from the local governments. In the wake of the burial of the 4 people who died at the supermarket, there is now a call by people around the world, several different factions, several different rabbis, different people at different places around the planet, basically saying that it is time for the Jewish community to perhaps even go on the offensive. Something which, quite frankly, to many rabbis that I've had a chance to speak with here in the last week or so, would be offensive even to them, the carrying of weapons. But there are some people who believe that that is necessary at this point with the fact that Jews around the world are not getting the protection that they need. I'm told the rabbi is back with us now. Rabbi, are you there?
I am. Sorry
okay.
about all the technical difficulties, but this is an important subject, and I did want to weigh in no matter where I was in the world.
Please do. We only have about 3 minutes left here, so let's make sure we get this all in here. What I have been discussing here are the people who say that it is time for Jews and maybe even rabbis to arm themselves, to carry weapons to protect themselves. Do you think that's really a good idea?
Well, look, I get death threats every single day. I now get beheading threats, really nasty, scary, terrifying beheading threats. And I've thought of getting it done in order to protect myself. I live in a state where it's very, very difficult to get it done. I have thought of it. I don't know if that's the solution. The real solution is that living in the United States, the FBI, federal authorities, local authorities have to protect them, like anything.
But is it time?
Freedom of speech. But let me just say that
okay.
whether or not rabbis should get done is separate from the responsibility of local governments to protect them. People like me are getting death threats all the time for just standing up for Israel. Jihadists are targeting people like me throughout the world, and they're very scary times. And to see what the Jews of France are up against is terrifying. Now, where is the French government and the American government? Has to be there as well. We cannot have these outrages because it's not just an attack on the Christian faith. Imagine Western democracy stymied by the inability of people to speak their minds because they're afraid they're going to be shot in the head. That's a pretty scary thought.
Rabbi, let me do this right now because we're still having some difficulties here. There's some noise in the background here. I tell you what, Rabbi, we're going to let you go here at this time, but please, I know that you're on a family retreat at this moment. Let's get you back in here as soon as we can. We can actually get you on a connection here because this is an important subject. I want to make sure that we're not taking a chance on missing anything that you're saying. So, Rabbi, I thank you for your time. We'll get together with you again very soon. Okay, the rabbi is gone. Let's bring you up to speed one more time on this. And it's the discussion here that the rabbi added about whether or not, and you heard him say that he himself has received beheading threats. There is a thinking in the Jewish community in many countries around the world. in many places, people that I have spoken with here in America and other places around the world, that they are not important. There is a thinking process from some rabbis and some Jewish communities that they are not being protected, quite frankly, because the governments don't care about them, the people don't care about them. There is, once again, that fear that is now permeating the Jewish communities around the world. The rabbi himself had recently talked about the fact that there needs to be so many things that must start here. You heard him question the government of the United States. You heard him question the government of France. What are they doing? He has also been talking, and so have many others, about the fact that the President of the United States cannot go after radical Islam, that he cannot use those words in a sentence, and that that is part of the problem, because according to so many people in the Jewish community, they need to be told, the world needs to be told the truth, not about Muslims or people or an entire religion that is bad, but the fact that there are factions in these religions that are simply extremists, and that what they want to do is bring as much terror to the world as possible, and in many cases, they think that what is necessary is the killing of the Jewish people. This is an issue which will not go away. The rabbi, unfortunately, had a very difficult time today because of the technical issues. We are going to have him back and discuss it even further. Break, and we are back with the changing military culture, especially when it regards their commander-in-chief, whom I just spoke of. Midpoint continues.